Hi, I'm excited to introduce you to my little Border Collie puppy, Kit. She's formerly known as Gussie. I'll have some videos out from before I got her when she was called Gussie. So anyway, I've got Kit. She'll be 4 months old in about another week. And I got her when she was 3 months old. So I got her at 12 weeks. She came here to the farm at 11 and a half weeks. My friend down the valley from me has a cattle ranch, and that's where she was born, and they gave her to me. I fell in love with her that day when she came out, and then a week later I decided I'd go ahead and get her. I have both of her grandparents, Kaya and Finn. So her mother is from one of their pups that I had given my friend at the cattle ranch 8 years ago, and this is her. They won't be breeding her again. She was 8 years old, but they did want a pup out of her, and so they got that, and I did too. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to follow along with her training as we go along. Let me get you caught up to date. So when I first got her, she was afraid of everyone and everything except for the livestock. The first thing I had to do, she'd never been off the cattle ranch until she came to my house that day when she was 11 and a half weeks old. So the first thing I had to do is bond with her, and that was pretty easy to do. So I took her everywhere with me for the next few days. I brought her in the house. She's a house dog. Really nice pup, so smart. She learned so quick, and she bonded to both my husband and I, and I took her over to my kids' farms. They're just down the road from me, and let her play with the grandkids, so that was socializing. She really needed to be socialized because, like I said, she was afraid of everything. So I'll get you caught up to speed of what I've been doing with her. The first thing is to let her play with the grandkids, and that's always good for them to get handled and to expect the unexpected. Kids are fast moving, and the younger ones are anyway, and so she quickly got familiar with my family and close friends, and became at ease with them. But anytime a stranger would come, she'd be afraid again. So what I ended up doing with her is this last weekend, as I say, she's almost 4 months old, but I took her to town. Going to town is an hour drive, and I have my granddaughters with me. They're 12 and 15, and we took her to the state high school rodeo championships, and I had her down on a leash, walking her through the crowds, and there was all the noise and of the intercom system, announcements, and music blasting away at the barrel races, and horses winning, and all kinds of activities going on. And but I carried her at first. I carried her in, and then we got her on a leash and started walking her around through the crowds and through the people and up and down the bleachers, and she did really, really well. She had one little panic attack, and she wanted to run away or hide behind me, and so I just put her in front of me and I pet her and make sure she knew she was okay, and then she was over it, and the stadium was fine. She was fine there. Then on a break, we went over to the ranch supply store. Anytime we go to town, it's an hour drive, so we always pick up parts and supplies when anybody goes. And so we went to the ranch supply store and had her walk through, and all the employees. It was kind of a quiet day over there at the moment, and all the employees wanted to pet her, and I did allow that. Oftentimes ranchers and dog handlers don't want anybody handling their pups, but it was really important for her because I think she would have been a biter later, and I didn't like that, and I didn't want her being timid. I wanted her to be comfortable in her own skin. And so, boy, by the end of the day, she was bomb-proof, and now she's totally socialized. She's not afraid of people, and it was a really good experience for her. So socializing was a huge success. Every single day I have many teaching moments during the day. She has, the first thing, she has a really, really strong instinct to work. I have the sheep out here. She right away learned where they were from the house. And when I would let her out I couldn't let her out. I'd have to keep her on a leash because right away she'd go out to the sheep. And she's small enough that she can fit through the little squares on the sheep fencing. So she'd get in with the sheep. So I didn't want to ruin her. I didn't want to yell at her or get her into trouble for that. The best thing to do is to puppy-proof the fencing. So I did do that. But before I did that, when she would get in, when she would get in with the sheep, instead of getting after her, I would set her up. So I would kind of coerce the sheep into going into a corner. And I did teach Kit here how to stay and how to hold. Stay I use when we're not with the livestock. Hold I use when we're with the livestock and she's actually holding the livestock. So I would walk up behind her. I would use my trained dog, Jay. I would tell him to walk up, hold, and she would see that. And because I had already been working with her outside of the sheep to stay, she understood. She's really smart. And so I would tell her to stay, and I would walk up behind her, and I would put 2 fingers under her collar. I wouldn't pull her or grab her. I would just slip 2 fingers under, and I would say, stay, and I'd tap a little bit, or I'd say hold is what I would use because we were with the livestock. So I would tap her collar and say hold, and she actually would, and then I would try to get her to call off willingly. And then I would tell her what a good puppy she was. So I never did yell at her for getting in with the sheep or get her into trouble. I set her up. Now I have my fences, they're puppy proof, and so she can't get in, so I can let her loose. The more training she gets, the better she's going to be, and that's all going to work out in the end. She's a little bit sticky right now because she was getting in there, so and working on her own. Oh, is she a tough little thing. But anyway, so that means because she is sticky, and she was getting in the big pens, the paddocks. So now to get that stickiness out of her, stickiness means she's going to get in there and get them in a corner and then hold them, and she's not going to be circling. And I need her to circle. I need her to learn the balance, and we have been working her, and she is really good at that, but we need to get her in the round pen and work her in the round pen for that. I'm going to be starting her foundational training now. I've only done a little bit. She's lead trained, walks really good on a leash. She knows how to stay. If I put her in the kennel, she knows how to get in the kennel. I say kennel, and she goes in. I say stay, and she won't try to run out. So she does know that. Half the time she has a nice recall, but only half the time, so I've got to work on that. So she does know how to sit. And right away when she was 12 weeks old, took me 10 minutes is all it took to load up on the side-by-side. So she knows load up. And I did start her patience training right away. At 11 and a half weeks old, I started that, and that's where I chain them up to the fence and let them watch the goings on around, and they have to be patient and quiet, and I did start that. Her instincts are so strong. She just wants to work more than anything, and I really like that. And that getting in with the sheep problem, good problem to have, because you can correct it and you can get a control on it, and it just means her instincts are really strong. And so the more disciplined she gets in her training, she'll know not to go work unless I tell her to. So her lead training, we began at 11 weeks. I had Chantel do a little lead training on her. At 11 weeks, we also started her introduction to sheep, and I had Chantel do that, and I've had Chantel do a couple works on her. My son has too. I'm a little gimpy these days, and so I'm having the younger people get in the round pen with her. I have worked with her also. And then her first introduction to sheep was at 11 weeks, and then her second one was at 14 weeks. So now I'm just going to really start on her foundational training, and several times a week we'll be working with the livestock, but every day we'll be working foundational training. So you'll start your foundational training on your puppy when you feel they have a good attention span and they're ready to learn. And she has kind of had one, so I have been doing the lead training and little training like stay and recall and all that, the load up. Every day there's a little lesson that I teach her. And so right now I'm really going to concentrate on that foundational training, because that will improve her recall, and that's going to help in with the livestock. And so what I will be doing is teaching her, I'll have a long lead. My lead is about 17 feet long, and I will teach her to hold or stay put, and I'll go out. Are you getting bored? I'll teach her hold and walk up, lie down, and a recall, and that'll make working on the livestock so much easier. So again, I invite you to watch us as we go along with her training, and it ought to be fun. She learns so fast. I'm really excited about this pup. She has really good bloodlines and really strong instincts, and I'm really excited. Thanks for watching.